But just before we go, everyone, and here is my final word tonight. And it's going to be majorly to Mr. President, President Bola Tinubu. 2 years are gone. Half of your constitutional mandate spent navigating the stormy waters of reform, resistance, and rising hardship. You came to office promising a renewed hope agenda, telling Nigerians that the pain would be temporary, like that of a childbirth, and that joy would follow. But 2 years in, the cries have grown perhaps louder, and many now wonder, when will the joy come? Inflation surged, food inflation went to an all-time height, transport costs were tripled, and the average Nigerian now spends more of their income just to eat, as if they are lucky. Petrol is hovering over 700 naira per litre, and electricity tariffs have risen even as supply is still very erratic. And yet, the Nigerian people, resilient, loyal, enduring, have held on. But holding on cannot be the national plan. You promised to lift millions out of poverty, create thousands of digital jobs in 24 months, and double power generation. These were not poetic aspirations. They were campaign commitments. Mr. President, time is not on your side. You have just 12 months before the political season begins to whisper again. If ever there was a time to show the fruits of sacrifice, it is now. You are the president of both your lovers and your loudest critics, the hopefuls who sang your name at the polls and the skeptics who prayed you will fail. But leadership demands maturity of mind and empathy of heart. You now preside over a fractured but hopeful nation. Good people, bad politics, and an ugly economy. Nigeria today is at a historic inflection point. Mismanage these opportunities, sir, and we risk descending into a cycle of unrest, disillusionment, and regret. But if you rise, Mr. President, to the moment, and you could become a defining leader, one whose name is etched in gold as a man who brought Nigeria back from the brink, you must ignore sycophants who clap in darkness while citizens cry in daylight. Mr. President, please urgently surround yourself with thinkers, doers, and patriots, not just loyalists. Every day must count. Every decision must deliver value. Because when a nation suffers this deeply, there is no luxury of time or ego. No more excuses. President Bola Tinubu, we in the media, we will do our own part. We will question, probe, inform, and hold you accountable, not out of hostility, but out of duty. The opposition must also rise, not just to criticize, but to push this country forward. Civil society organization must now organize, awaken consciences, and be the voice of the voiceless, and our people must now stop being docile. We need to raise a mass of active citizens who are willing to fight for their nation and also work hard for its good. Citizens, your voice counts. Don't lose it. And for those of us who believe and who are people of faith, we will pray, as scripture commands us, for the peace of the land and the success of its leaders. Because President Bola Tinubu, your success is Nigeria's success, and your failure will be our shared tragedy. Nigerians will rally behind you if they see sincerity, action, and result. But never forget, fury awaits any leader who mocks the pain of the poor. Sir, history is watching. Posterity is watching, and 200 million Nigerians are watching. Let this second half of your presidency be a turning point. Make us proud, President Bola Tinubu. Make Nigeria great. And that has to start now. That's my final word tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Seun Okinbaloye. God bless Nigeria.
So there's really nothing fantastic that Seun Okinbaloye said that we haven't said severally, whether it's on podcast, monologue, dialogue, or even on TV. We've said even sometimes worse things than what he has said, but he made it very, very clear. And he was tactical, especially as it concerns the way manner he drew the lines between those who praise him, those whom he surrounds himself with. Because again, I really don't know the reason why a leader would surround himself more with people who tell him the good things that are okay, things that are nice, He doesn't have people who tell him, Oga, but please, that decision we took, can it be reversed? Can it go this way? Can we tweak it this way so that it will look like we really mean well, or we truly do mean well, but it's just that we just have to. One of the major reasons, one of the major things that this government has done that is making people scream, it's largely the removal of fuel subsidy. The subsidy removal was, even though inevitable, because all of the three presidential candidates said they were going to do it, but how they were going to do it was going to be actually something else. We know a successive government, if we have said, okay, a certain Peter Obi would do it, he would have said, okay, I'm not going to remove it totally because it's going to become too high. But you also risk the fact that Dangote refinery was coming on, and you cannot keep subsidy when you have a private refinery in your country. So it's almost impossible not to have removed subsidy entirely. So I'm just trying to, regurgitate, especially that aspect. It's also that aspect I want to deal with, even though that's actually what has made people get into more poverty, because as soon as that subsidy was removed, transportation became pretty too high, and the factors of production, transportation is one of them. And because you know that transportation is one of them, and it has tripled, so the transportation became, a major factor of the production of goods and services. Someone does their farm crop in the market, in their farms in the village, and they want to bring it to the village. They used to pay 100 naira to bring it to the market square, but then they're paying 500 naira. How do you want them to survive? They're going to add it to the cost of production, which has affected practically everything. Somebody wants to go to the market. Everything revolves around production, transportation specifically. And so because transportation has quadrupled, there's no way you will get the same thing. I mean, it's not possible. If you want to buy a car, I mean, this is something I have actually done severally. If you want to buy a car from Lagos, send it to Enugu, you're going to, fill the car, isn't it? You're going to fill the car. And in fueling the car, you're going to pay, at that time, it was around 900, 1,000, 1,002. Whereas it used to be 200, just 200, 180, 200 when they left office. So imagine the extent of the amount of monies added to the payment for fuel alone. So that's exactly what has affected virtually everything. Now, like you have seen, there's the downstream sector is beginning to lay bare. Imagine there is another refinery that is like Dangote, that is not NNPC. NNPC is not the best measure of competition. We've seen government not being able to compete, but even though they are trying their best, we've seen Dangote reduce and then they'll come and reduce and all of that. You've seen also that happening with diesel as well. Imagine we have like a BUA, for instance, who is also building their refinery somewhere in Akwa Ibom, and there's maybe another one. Imagine that competition that would happen. Fuel would have been around 450, 500, 600, as a case maybe at the very best, 500, 600. That is what fuel would have been now, if at all we had that opportunity to, have competition in that downstream sector. So, was it inevitable? Well, it was inevitable, but was it done in good faith? No, because I know that a lot of people who have converted their cars to CNG. But the CNG, we've seen that how scarce it can actually be sometimes. We've seen people queue to get CNG because it's cheap, and then people can move around as much as possible compared to if you are using a fuel-enabled vehicle. And then you expect that the president at the time that he removed subsidy didn't actually know what's going on in that sector. He would have at least come in, stayed for at least 3 to 6 months for people to be able to adjust and then do the needful, not the way he did it. The way, in fact, that very day he announced that thing, fuel was like 210 in Enugu. Fuel moved to 500 that same day. So if you look at how he has done it, people are condemning how he's done it. Not that they will not, the two other presidents who contested would not have done it, but they would have done it differently. So as the money comes, as you save the money, you use the monies to do other things, not use the money and give to governors. And governors will not decide what to do with it. But the people are still suffering. The masses are still in dire need of food. I was stunned the other day. I saw somebody who is an able-bodied person searching dustbin to eat food, like searching dustbin to eat. It's never been this devastatingly bad. Never, ever has it been. And then we're saying, okay, why don't you do a palliative first? Get the buses down. It's the CNG buses that you claim you're going to give every state so as to ease transportation for at least workers who receive 70,000 naira minimum wage. As in, how difficult is governance, for crying out loud? How difficult is governance? You have resources, you have money, distribute it to the best of your abilities for people to be able to have life and live like they are human beings. But no, at this day and age, 2025, you are weaponizing poverty? Are you kidding me? Well, Seun actually said a lot of things in those lines. That look, there's a disillusionment. You risk an outprow of a masses of people who will be waiting for you at that poll. If in the next 12 months, there is no significant change in the people's lives and things become this way, not something different. If you don't increase minimum wage much more than it is right now, or prices of things in the market don't go down, just like you did the pronouncement on that 29th of May 2023, if you do that same pronouncement about food prices, I'm sure that things can get better, especially for food, chop food. Damn. And how are you going to run your campaign in 2027? Who is going to vote for you? You are carrying governors to add to put for your body. You are carrying governor of Delta State. You're carrying governor of Akwa Ibom State. Hey God, I hope you know those are not the people who vote. These governors don't even vote on election day, except you are planning to rig it. If nothing changes between now and the next 12 months, just get ready, because this time around you're not going to be fighting a group of persons who love you, maybe from your southwestern state. You're going to be fighting the entire nation of hungry people who are sad, and they don't let you go, then something really sinister might happen. Well, it's my thinking.